Hello class, and welcome to your first YouTube lecture for the semester. I start the YouTube videos the same way that I start class, and that's with a question of the day. Today's question of the day is, what is your favorite season? We're on the cusp of 2 right now, so let me know which of the 4 seasons is your favorite and why. You can leave your answer in the comments below. So today I'm going to start out by talking about shitty first drafts and why I had you read it. And then after that, we're going to get into your next steps with the Blackboard discussion board page. So starting out with shitty first drafts. Shitty First Drafts is a short essay about Anne Lamott's writing style, which is to write a really, really crappy first draft and then revise it later. What I think Anne Lamott is doing really well is she dismantles this idea that I think a lot of us have about writing, and that's as soon as you get something on the page, it should be worthwhile of other people to read, it should be good, it should be accomplishing all of these things. It shouldn't be too long or too flowery or too sparse or too direct. And a lot of the times when you start writing, that feels like an impossible balance to be hitting, that feels like an impossible goal. I think that's why for so many of us, when we start writing something new, you open up a Word document and you sit there and you stare at a blinking cursor on a blank page for as long as it takes for you to feel like you just have to write something down. The quote that stands out to me and that sort of cycles through my head a lot is, almost all writing begins with terrible first efforts. You need to start somewhere. Start by getting something, anything, down on paper. And that's on page 6. And obviously, yes, this is an essay about writing. She's talking about her experience as a writer, but I think that this is applicable in a lot of ways. I think that a lot more things than just writing can start with shitty first drafts. So for example, all of these videos that are on my YouTube page have shitty first drafts. I sit down and the camera makes me nervous and I can't talk. There are videos on my channel from when I started doing these YouTube lectures just of my outtakes, because I want to show you guys that because I want to show you guys that there are moments like that that I have to edit out, because what I have to do to get these videos made is sit down and tell myself that this is not going to be perfect, and I am not going to be perfect. And for the same reasons that I don't want you guys to hand in a draft that you did the night before something was due as your final work, I edit these videos and I make them watchable, I hope. It all plays into an attitude that I think is especially prevalent in colleges, and that's people who excel at things are naturally good at them. They're naturally gifted, they're naturally smarter than you, and that's not true. The people who really excel at things are the people who are willing to go in and do something over and over again. The writers who get published are the ones who are willing to revise. The people who excel are the people who make it to practice, the people who show up to rehearsal, the people who work hard. I wish I had some quote from a boxer or something that was just ready to go off the top of my head about, it's not about how hard. See? Shitty first drafts. It's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how many times you can get hit and keep getting back up. That would be good. That would be good if I had done that. If you know one of those quotes, leave it in the comments below. I bet it's like Muhammad Ali or something. And that's what I hope, if anything, you end up getting out of this class. It's that it's never going to be about how good you are at something from the get-go, how good your rough draft is, how impressive your draft is. It's always going to be about, how do you respond to feedback? How many times are you going to be willing to get back into this draft and work on it? So no matter what your writing style is, I hope we can take this semester to find room in it for you to do a little bit of shitty drafting, however that looks for you. And that brings me to your most recent journal posting on Blackboard. So I said in the schedule that after you watch this video, I want you to respond to 2 of your classmates using the forwarding, countering, questioning method. This is a method that I developed last semester based on the book Rewriting by Joseph Harris. So the forwarding, countering, questioning method was defined by Joseph Harris in relation to how to incorporate other authors' texts into your own writing, which is not something that we're going to be working on in this project, but it is something that I want to scaffold into what we're doing now so that when the time comes, you have a lot of practice with it. So when you're responding to your classmates on Blackboard, I want you to do one of those three things. I'll start with questioning, which is pretty simple. Questioning is asking a specific question about something you see in their response. So, for example, with this assignment, if somebody said something about their own writing style that you don't quite understand, you can ask them a question about it. Or if you want to understand how a certain part of their writing process plays into what's going on, you can ask them a question. Forwarding and countering are kind of like agreeing and disagreeing, but it's in a way that moves things forward rather than just saying, hey, so-and-so, I really liked your point, or hey, so-and-so, I don't really think that that's true. Forwarding specifically takes what you've read and adds something to it so that we are keeping things moving forward. So, for example, if you see something in someone's writing style and you can see how it relates to shitty first drafts, you can say, hey, I like what you said about this. See, we start the same way. But then you go on and you say in Anne Lamott's essay, when she says this, I think it applies. And then maybe you take it and you make it about your own writing style. So you can say, I think when it comes time to write our first drafts, based on what you and Anne Lamott said, I'm going to try this. And that's forwarding. Simply agreeing is not forwarding. And agreeing and applying to the text is a lot closer, but it's still not forwarding. Countering is like disagreeing. Countering is a lot like disagreeing, but it's coming at it with a different attitude. So a lot of the times, I think especially in classes and class discussions and in situations like this, when we want to disagree with something, the impulse is to try to win. You want to prove somebody wrong. You want to prove yourself right. The point of countering is to bring in information that hasn't been acknowledged in this person's response. And in the case of your Blackboard posts, kind of try to marry those two ideas together if you can, or suggest an alternate route of thinking. So countering in this specific case where you're talking about people's writing styles might feel a little bit weird because there is no correct writing style. I don't think that, there's any sort of specific route that you guys should be taking in order to get your work done. But if your writing style differs from the person you're responding to, either in big or small ways, it might be a good opportunity for you to bring that into the discussion. You can think of it as an opportunity to share rather than a chance to shoot someone down for the way that they do things. So say someone is a really avid outliner. So that means that they plan a lot of things ahead. And then you don't do that. You prefer to write a shitty first draft, for example, or you just try to get some ideas on paper, or you like to map things out. You have this chance to sort of explain to this other person why you choose to do it that way. And then in that sense, you can see it as introducing some benefits to alternative writing styles. And so when we have these YouTube video lectures, I'll usually try to guide you in a specific way with your Blackboard responses. I'll say, when you're responding on Blackboard, try to incorporate something like this or something like this based on what we're talking about. And in that way, even though these classes are happening in 3 distinct steps where you read and post a journal, then watch a video, then respond on Blackboard, it all kind of marries together rather than just being, here's one task you can do, here's another task, and here's another task. I think that about sums things up for today. To reiterate, you're going to go on Blackboard after you watch this video and respond to 2 of your classmates. I don't care which classmate it is. I don't care how you choose which classmate you respond to. You can respond to the first 2 responses you read. You can read every single post on the discussion board. Try not to respond to someone if they already have 1,000 responses, because then that person is getting all of this and everyone else is just kind of sitting over here in the corner without any interaction. I'm looking forward to the long weekend and to seeing you all after it. Remember to respond to the question of the day in the comments. What is your favorite season? And I will see you on Wednesday.